Climate change isn't fair. Small-scale farmers who did the least to cause the climate crisis are feeling its worst effects right now. The lives and livelihoods are being lost due to extreme weather, pushing families and whole communities to the brink. The climate crisis was caused by centuries of exploitation of people and planet by the world's wealthiest. And the highest earning 1% are responsible for the same level of emissions as the lowest earning 5 billion people. So this is obviously a massive issue related to social justice. We are doing lots of different things to tackle it. The latest campaign that we have is this one here, which is called Protecting Forests with Fair Trade Farmers. And it all relates to I don't know, well, I'm sure you're all aware that the UK government in 2024, this year, has pledged to move forwards and new laws aimed at preventing deforestation linked to the goods that we buy from overseas. So there are 7 key commodities. They include things like that we don't deal with. So, for example, soy, wood, what else? Cattle. But there are several of the ones that we do work with that are actually on the radar, and they include cocoa, coffee, and to some extent bananas. They're not one of the main crops. So this is Jaime. He's a Colombian farmer, and he is actually heading this campaign for us. We visited him earlier this year. He is in the north of Colombia in the Sierra Nevada, and he is a coffee farmer, and his family have been coffee farmers for generations. The way they grow coffee is really interesting. Very often it's grown in mountainous areas, and they normally grow it on the slopes of the mountainous areas. And he, because his parents and grandparents were also coffee farmers, he's very aware of the effects of climate change is having on him growing coffee. So he says that every year they have to the coffee plants that are lowest down on the hill stop becoming productive, and they can no longer grow coffee on them. So they sort of are moving up the mountain. But at some point, because of climate change and increasing temperatures, there will probably be no more hill, no more mountain to climb for them to be able to grow coffee. So they're really feeling the effects of climate change. One of the things about these farmers is they adapt the best they can. So, for example, what Jaime belongs to cooperative. His cooperative are doing is they are starting to grow cocoa in the lower regions of the slopes, which is great because they continue to get income, which is important. But they're also doing lots and lots of things to protect forests. For example, he's a keen beekeeper. So they are really encouraging biodiversity. Coffee is a tree, a bush that grows in shaded areas. So they're doing lots of crossing. They're doing lots of agroforestry where they are growing coffee amongst other species. So they're keeping their farms as diverse as possible. Obviously, encouraging this biodiversity of plants encourages the biodiversity of animals. There's some really interesting animals in the area where he farms. There's jaguars, there's howling monkeys, there's several species of really interesting toads. They're called harlequin toads. So they're also committed to protecting that biodiversity. They all across South America, fair trade farmers are using stopping the use of chemical fertilizers, and they're starting to do lots of projects where they're composting and using their waste material to produce organic compost and well, not manures, but compost that they use to actually feed their plants. This is really improving the health of the soil. And actually what they're also finding due to climate change, lots of diseases are spreading at a much faster rate that they used to. So this is not as much affecting coffee farmers, but the banana farmers are finding this, that they're having lots of different diseases which are getting worse and worse because of climate change. But improving the quality of the soils is a really good way to try to keep these diseases at bay. So they're doing lots and lots of work. But what we are saying is that farmers like Jaime, living with the reality of climate change know the need to tackle deforestation, but poverty is a root cause of deforestation. So they have low prices and low incomes, and poverty is very widespread amongst many smallholder farmers in many countries. And the degradation of forest and illegal logging is grounded in desperation. A lack of living conditions leads to people to turn to the forest to fulfill fundamental needs such as food and energy. Smallholder farmers sometimes seek income opportunities by planting crops in areas that have already been degraded by deforestation, and that obviously causes further soil damage and ongoing economical hardship. Climate change is also worsening the conditions, and in many of these regions, significant increases in the cost of farming. On top of that, we have the new EU regulation, which is a good regulation because it's making sure that we're not exploiting our land and the benefit of the products. But the problem is that these smallholder farmers, which are already doing a lot to protect the shared environment that they grow the products on, are going to really find it difficult to continue going. So we have lots of fair trade programs that contribute to smallholder farmers protecting forests. So this is not just in Colombia, but across the world. We are pioneering the access to farm geolocation data and satellite monitoring, which is one of the ways. The problem we have with these farmers is they don't have the power that big corporations or bigger farms have. And they find it very hard to access this technology. And obviously the EU, the way the EU is going to regulate, and UK as well, obviously, because we are joining with them in that regulation, is that they're going to need proof that the crops are not coming. We're going to have to check the chains a bit better. So by providing this, they can prove that their products are not grown on land that has been that's been deforested since 2021. So we're doing a lot of that technology. We're also, like I've told you about, Jaime, Fair Trade is promoting smallholder farmers as forest protectors. So all these farmers, not because they're part of Fair Trade, it's because the people they are, smallholder farmers, love their land, love the land is their livelihood, and they're already doing a lot to protect their land. But obviously, very often, maybe it is a lack of education. So there's lots of educational programs where they're teaching each other what the best ways are to make sure they're protecting. Fair trade is really one of the standards is related to agroecological principles. And this is something that we are doing all around the world, which is really benefiting the farmers and the environment in which they grow their crops. But we are emphasizing that without a fair trade system and the government's climate funding, so in COP26, they said that they would be providing lots of funding to support smallholder farmers to tackle a climate change, or to be able to adapt to mitigate climate change. And this funding hasn't come yet. So our petition is asking for the UK government to make sure that they are supporting the smallholder farmers, that they are recognizing their knowledge and their expertise, and that they invest in them to support them to protect these forests. But it's just one of the well, this is our most current campaign on climate justice, but it's just one of many things that we're trying to do to improve the farmers' lives and the environment in which they grow their crops.